The Årsgången, or the Year Walk, is what could be described as a combination of folk tradition and esoteric Christian Protestant mysticism in Swedish culture. For those not in the know, Christian mysticism is basically the Christian version of Sufism, Tasawwuf. So this is basically the Swedish Protestant Christian version of that. Nej, det är det icke. Det är inte alls likt någonting islamskt.
No, it is not like anything Islamic.
If you insist. However, back to the Årsgången, or the Year Walk, as it can best be described as a sort of set of rituals, or a sort of divination and method to get closer to the divine. The Year Walk is rarely practiced today, except in very fringe Christian circles and some very traditionalist circles in Sweden, but generally it is not practiced, though it is referenced a lot in Swedish culture. And despite there existing some reoccurring stereotypes about it, the Årsgång or the Year Walk is far from an homogeneous or uniform set of rituals or set of traditions, with very varied regional and mystical variants of the tradition, as certain groups practicing this now and in the past had very different views and practices associated with it. Some could be considered purely to be folk traditions and have less to do with actually getting closer to God and more like a more Christian version of divination, and some are more focused upon actually getting closer to God rather than foretelling the future, which was usually a large part of these traditions. The Year Walk was to be done on nights of special days, usually New Year's Eve as the most commonly recognized day to do this, but also on Thomas Mass night, Christmas night, St. Stephen's Mass night, Epiphany night, but also Midsummer night and Lucia night, and the night of All Saints Day. Årsgångaren, or the Year Walker, the one doing the Year Walk, was and is usually expected to have performed a lot of preparatory rituals and done a lot of things in preparation for the Year Walk. Though again, these rituals and traditions could and do vary a lot. The participant of the Year Walk should have not, in certain traditions, or should not, see fire during the course of the same day as the day when they were going to do the Year Walk. And often the person must have been fasting sometimes to the edge of starvation and animated by deep seriousness in prayer before the Year Walk. The Year Walker was also not allowed to greet a visitor, nor speak or laugh, and was often in total isolation and total sensory deprivation, such as in total silent darkness before the night. These preparations could be for a day before the night of the Year Walk, or even more than a week, where you were living in total sensory deprivation, on the edge of delirium. Just before you were to do the Year Walk, you were supposed to clothe yourself in pure white clothing and long cone-like hats or hoods. Actually very similar to Lucia clothing. Actually, these are the same clothing when it happens during the Lucia, usually. Kind of similar to certain Sufi dervishes and their white clothing. Nej, det är det inte!
No, it is not.
Again, if you insist. You are also supposed to do intense sessions of prayer before doing the Year Walk. Exactly just before you begin. As otherwise you might get cursed by either God or attacked by evil spirits, or even by protective spirits of the church, such as the Swedish Grim, which is a creature I've made a video about. Anyway, say that all the preparations have been made. Then the Year Walker walks several rounds of a fast walk around a church or graveyard, or the place of a saint or some other holy place, in the middle of the night. In fact, the tradition of the walks around the place where Saint Erik of Stockholm was killed is part of this, and could be considered an example of the Year Walk, though it has lost most of the mystical and divination aspects, and has just become a general tradition of veneration for Erik. But back to the year walk. Sometimes this walk includes other things such as dancing and music, especially spinning around in order to get into a trance-like state where you will get closer to God. You could call it a sort of prayer dance, almost. Actually, this is rather similar to Nej, det är det inte!
No, it is not.
And other actions that might make you more susceptible to visions. Wait, the yearwalker didn't interrupt me. Jag är så hög just nu.
I'm so high right now.
Anyway, the idea is that through these actions you will get closer to God and get visions about the future. At certain times, these visions may come directly from the divine or through a medium, like an angel, spirits, and mystical creatures. Especially the creature called the Church Grim, which sometimes carries the will of God to the yearwalker.
What's up, you mother? I got the news from the Lord.
Ja, nu känns det verkligen som att saker är på droger.
Yeah, now it really feels like things are on drugs.
No comment, except that anyway, if you want to know more about this creature, then check out my other video about the Kyrkogrim after this video. The aim of the yearwalk is that through these rituals and through these various actions, you will get visions about God and the future. And the purpose of the yearwalk can either be about God specifically, to get closer to God, or about these visions, to know about the future. I mean, the fact that a lot of un-Christian spirits, such as Näcken, the Naked One, another Swedish folkloric spirit, are also associated with this tradition, does point towards it being broader than just Christian mysticism. Though the idea is kind of that your prayer and your rituals to God is going to make God make these spirits help you against their own will. However, if you fail in the preparations for the yearwalk, you will get punished by these spirits, such as Näcken, or punished by God himself, or attacked by the Kyrkogrim, the Church Grim, which is actually kind of unlike the other spirits. Kind of a good spirit, but a spirit that will attack you if you don't act piously enough on church grounds. Another tradition associated with the yearwalk is that if you have done it 7 times, you will usually achieve a greater result than just having done it once. And there are also traditions about you being approached by a man wearing a scarf covering his face that will give you additional knowledge about the future if you manage to obtain his scarf. These descriptions are actually quite similar to certain paganistic beliefs about Odin, and there is some belief that they might originate from there. For the yearwalkers, it would be believed that this man is an angel. However, pagan remnants or influences upon these rituals and traditions concerning the yearwalk cannot be ruled out, and presents an interesting case of a possible mix between pagan traditions and Christian belief. Nej, det är en rent kristlig tradition detta.
No, it is a purely Christian tradition.
Yes, you might view it as such, but now I am interested in the views of my viewers. What do you think about this tradition and about its origins? I'm sure you have many questions, and I will be happy to answer them. Please do subscribe, as it would help the channel spread awareness about the humanities. اشترك بالقناة من فضلكم.